Hello all and welcome back to another video here on my YouTube channel. Now today's video I'm going to give you 5 things which I believe we've learned from the game against Burnley in that 2-1 home defeat. But before I start, thank you all for 1 million views. My channel hit a fantastic landmark yesterday. I've managed to hit over 1 million views. I started making YouTube videos when I was like 14 years old at school. Got made fun of even by Luton fans at the time and throughout the years. I know some Luton fans don't agree with what I do, but you know, a lot of you guys do, and you carried on supporting me through thick and thin. And yeah, I'm now hit that fantastic landmark of 1 million views on my channel. So I just want to say a massive thank you to anyone who has supported me over the years. It is greatly appreciated. I've never thought I would hit that landmark just from making Luton Town videos. So appreciate you all, and yeah, let's keep supporting the channel. Let's keep trying to make this bigger and keep hitting more landmarks. But yeah, not bad from someone who always gets told he doesn't know nothing about football. But hey, let's get on with the 5 things which I think we've learned from the game against Burnley. So number 1, I think Menji is a fantastic centre half, and he proved in the game against Burnley that he has all the ability to step up to play in the Premier League. I thought throughout the game his passing ability was really good, especially when Burnley were pressuring us. He was very calm and composed when he had possession of the ball. I think towards the end, yeah, he did, you know, tire a little bit. He did lack, you know, that maybe that little bit of sharpness, and his legs were going a little bit, but that was to be expected because he hasn't played many games yet. And you know, the Premier League, the physical side of things, it is another level compared to playing against a League One side in a cup game. So I thought he done extremely well despite that. I thought, you know, you did see his pace a little bit at times, which was good, and I'm sure he will get quicker and sharper with the more game time under his belt when weeks go by. But he was someone who I really enjoyed watching, and I do think is really good. I didn't think Burnley troubled us at all, you know, and that is the second thing which we've learned about from the game. I didn't think Burnley ripped us apart. We made some silly errors. We switched off. And that's something which we did. We switched off too often. And that's costing us, and it has done since the start of the season. Now, the reason why I say we switched off was because of the Burnley first goal. You know, I don't understand why no one in the midfield picked up on it, and we will talk about the midfield in a second. But a few times before Burnley scored their first goal, they played it through in the middle of the, you know, of the park. Lockyer stepped maybe too forward. Maybe the defensive line was maybe a little bit too it was too further back. It needed to step up a little bit more, but it gave Burnley an opportunity to have a one-on-one chance, and you can't allow that to happen. You really can't, and we have to be switched on at all costs. If we are going to pressure, you know, teams in our attacking third, then we as a whole team need to step up to that. We all need to step up the pitch and making sure that each player has a man. Burnley, with their system which they were playing a 4-3-3, and Burge was, you know, dropping as a striker, dropping back. And the reason why he did that, because of how tall he is, he wanted to cope with the physical height of our, you know, of our team. You know, when you're coming up against, you know, 3 centre halves in, you know, Reece Burke, Menji and Lockyer, we are quite physical. We are going to probably win a lot more headers in the air. But because of Burge's height, he was obviously stepping forward a little bit, and I don't think we clocked onto it too well. And on this particular occasion, he actually dropped further back, and he allowed to play the ball straight down the middle, and we switched off, which was really frustrating, you know, just before half time. And then we switched off yet again after we scored our goal. I guarantee you, if we didn't concede that goal, I do think we would have gave it a proper go in that last 10 minutes, and I do think we could have had a, you know, a really high chance of going on to get the winner. So we need to stop switching off. Against Wolves, we switched off. Lockyer should have put the ball out. Yeah, should have put the ball out. Against Everton, with that goal which they concede, the set piece, we switched off. About 3 Everton players were lining up on the free kick. Against Fulham, switching off yet again. You know, keeper needs to be better there. West Ham, switching off at the back post. So, as you can imagine, it's always the same answer. It's switching off. Obviously, yeah, the Premier League's a different level, and awareness needs to be so much better, but you've got to always be on it. You know, that 1 second you switch off, you could get punished quite easily. So yeah, going forward, that needs to be sorted. Number 3, Tom Lockyer. I think it's quite clear that Tom Lockyer was a fantastic Championship centre-half, and I think life in the Premier League is a little bit different for him. I think he is, the pace side of things is definitely a concern. He definitely isn't on the same wavelength as a lot of the Premier League attackers, and it is a bit of a concern right now because Tom Lockyer isn't performing exactly brilliantly. You know, I love him. I can't, you know, I can't fault his passion, you know, his commitment towards the football club. That, I'm not saying anything like that. And to be fair, he's one of my favourite all-time Luton Town centre halves. However, what is the problem right now is he is causing us to have too many mistakes at the back. Now, is he getting protected or is he doing too many individuals? And I do think individual mistakes. And I think it's a mix of both. I think he needs to tighten up a little bit more. I think he just needs to be a non-nonsense like centre half and just, you know, if in doubt, get it out type of mentality there. And I think if he starts applying that to his game for this season and then just deal with the consequences after, you know, don't try and be that fancy centre half. There's no need for it. It's not going to get you any extra brownie points. Just do the basics correct, and then hopefully we will stop conceding goals, because right now I just don't see where a clean sheet is going to come from, because we just switch off too often and we're making too many individual errors at the back. Look how many saves our keeper Kaminsky made against Burnley. He barely made any. You know, it was a game of two halves. The first half we were just not good enough, and the second half we were the much better team and should have gone on to win the game, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Burnley proved you don't need to perform 10 out of 10 to win a football game. They were not that great, Burnley, which really frustrates me. And if you look at our last two home matches with Wolves and Burnley, and to only get, you know, 1 point between out of 6 against two sides on paper where we performed much better than and should have got 6 points, you know, it's a real disappointment. And we can't rely on surprise wins throughout the whole season. We just can't do that. You've got to win at home. I know at the moment we've got like this mentality block at home where there's a lot of expectations to go and do something. I don't know what it is, but we need to just make things simple and yeah, hopefully go from there. But we're just trying to overcomplicate things where I don't think we need to. Another thing which we learned from the game against Burnley, yet again, we've only got one way of playing. I know we like the physical side of things, which, don't get me wrong, it will cause teams problems, and it did cause Burnley plenty of problems, especially when Elijah came on. It caused them problems. But at times, we should play our own game. We can play good football at times. You know, we need to switch it up, because if teams are going to just expect us to go long all the time or put a load of crosses into the box, no, the way of planning around that is quite easy for other teams to do. They can bring on an extra centre half to cope with the physical side of things, or they can bring on an extra man in the midfield to protect the defence a little bit better. You know, we need to switch it up at times. I just feel like sometimes we're just a little bit one-dimensional when we don't need to be. And then if you are going to be one-dimensional, crosses need to be good, and so do set pieces. Against Burnley, we were quite dangerous from that, but you know, it's still one-dimensional. We need. It could be working for 90 minutes, but that one time you change it up for a second and you could potentially score a goal. And then the last thing which we learned from the game against Burnley is the midfield is just not there. It got completely outdone against Burnley. As I already mentioned, Burnley had a 3-man midfield. You know, so against a 2v3 man midfield, it's a lot easier. And then at times it felt like Burnley had 6v2 men. Obviously, Nakamba and Pelly were in the midfield on this occasion, and look, I thought Pelly done alright. I thought he put 2 good crosses into the box, which should have probably led to a goal. Nakamba, yes, you know, he covers the whole pitch. He makes loads of tackles, you know, key interceptions and whatnot, which is fantastic, which is great. However, I think the midfield balance at the moment is just not there at the moment. And I just don't know if this system which we're playing, I just don't think the 3 at the back works. I really don't. I don't think we're doing it correctly enough in the Premier League for it to work. And it just worries me. It does really worry me going forward. Now, that's obviously down to Rob Edwards and the team on how they want to go about it going forward. Now, I know Rob Edwards throughout his, you know, Forest Green career and Luton career has always played, you know, with a 3 or 5 back. So whether or not he chooses to carry this on is a different story, but I just don't think it's working right now, and the midfield balance isn't there. I do think we're missing Clark. I don't understand why he doesn't trust Luke Berry, just to give him a few, you know, game time minutes. I find that quite a surprise. I do think Pelly did deserve to start, especially after the Everton game. So what's really hard is, because we performed really well against Everton, especially Nakamura and Pelly, it's hard to drop them, which is fair enough, but the balance in that midfield just wasn't right against Burnley. We were outnumbered, and Burnley, especially in the first half, were able just to play around us a little bit far too easy and get long shots opportunities away. So it is frustrating, and it's something that needs to be looked at, because I do think the midfield's just not there, and I can't wait for Clark to be back. I think after Fulham he was 6 weeks away, so I think after the November international break, potentially he could be back into the side. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the things which I learned from the Burnley game. Hopefully going forward we can iron some of those stuff out. We've got a very hard game on Saturday against Tottenham, which is going to be extremely difficult, but you know, we like the challenge, and I do think we are going to beat a big side at home at some point. I don't know who it's going to be, but I do think it's going to be someone. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, those are my thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you all in the next video.